16th gene key, magical genius. Programming partner, 9th gene key. Codon ring, the ring of prosperity, 1645. Physiology, parathyroid. Amino acid, cysteine. The 16th shadow, indifference. The diffusion of responsibility. At the shadow frequency, one of the most powerful and pervasive forces that keeps you from perceiving a higher reality is indifference. As long as you are indifferent, you can't ever be different. This is the key to the 16th shadow, which concerns the very human fear of leaving your comfort zone and fully embracing change in your life. As an aspect of the codon ring of prosperity, the 16th gene key is about excellence. To prosper truly in the world is to find the one thing in life at which you excel above all others. This is the true destiny of every human being, but to bring this dream to fruition, you must first step out of the shadows and take the risk of being different. Indifference is an energy field that gets you to focus your precious time and life force on the inessential. The inessential in this context is anything that takes your attention away from the present moment and its limitless potential. As long as you are focused on the inessential, you will be indifferent to the things in life that really matter. The Holocaust survivor and writer Elie Wiesel had the following to say about this subject. The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. The opposite of art is not ugliness, it's indifference. The opposite of faith is not heresy, it's indifference. And the opposite of life is not death, it's indifference. The 16th gene key represents the collective expression of the state of health of humanity. In our modern world, this expression is clear, that the vast majority of the world lives in poverty, whilst a select few thrive, is a testament to the power of the 16th shadow, which sucks all the life out of the world. Because human beings are not willing to stand up and be different, they become willing to sit by the side of life and observe. In social psychology, this common human pattern is known as the diffusion of responsibility and refers to the human preponderance to look away when confronted by another in distress, often when there are a number of other people in the same vicinity. However, as a byproduct of the 16th shadow of indifference, the diffusion of responsibility occurs across the width and breadth of our planet on a far subtler energetic level. Indifference is an energy field created by all the human beings on this planet who are not doing what they would really love to be doing. The only reason for this state is fear. Whoever you are and whatever your life circumstances, if you transcend your fear, you will suddenly become so much more capable than you were before. To break out of the field of indifference is to make the courageous move deep into your own fears and overcome the lethargy that prevents you from making something truly beautiful of your life. Indifference has many faces and excuses. One of the primary excuses human beings use for not doing what they truly want in life is the excuse that they don't have enough time. This habit of making yourself a victim of time is the core escape strategy of the 16th shadow, but time actually has nothing to do with it. You have become a victim of your mind rather than of time. Time itself is as fluid as water, and as the 17th and 5th and 52nd gene keys testify, it can be bent, shortened, twisted, lengthened, and even stopped. The moment you take a stand and begin to follow your dreams, time becomes your ally rather than your enemy, automatically adapting itself to fit your needs. The programming partner to the 16th shadow is the 9th shadow of inertia, and it is easy to see how these two genetic forces keep humans from actually getting anywhere. As with all the shadow polarities, they create a biofeedback loop that traps energy at a low frequency. In this case, indifference cannot overcome inertia because it doesn't feel strongly enough to do anything about it. This 16th shadow can be absolutely full of plans and good intentions about the world, but they rarely get off the ground. This is the shadow of the pipe dream, the delusion that your dreams will one day become manifest without you ever actually having to initiate them. What is lacking in the lives of those in the grip of this shadow is one vital factor: enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the original Chinese name for this 16th hexagram of the I Ching. Enthusiasm is the key that can pull you out of your inertia and snap the frozen pattern of your indifference. To be enthused, you must actually have an experience rather than simply dreaming about an experience. One of the greatest challenges in surmounting the collective weight of indifference is your unique inability to identify with whatever your dreams really are. This is why experience is critical to this process of breaking free. It is not enough to daydream and plan how you might save the world. You have to actually begin the work. The other major excuse of those under the spell of this shadow is, "I am not ready yet." Again, this excuse is based on a false notion of time. The truth is that you are always ready. You are ready right now. If you keep postponing your dreams, they will always remain dreams. If you actually have the courage to begin them, you will learn as you go along. When you have the courage to step onto the path of your destiny, two things immediately occur. The first is that you feel an enormous surge of new energy coming from your own enthusiasm, and the second is that you stop compromising your path because of pressure coming from others. Only your courage and your enthusiasm have the power to break through the collective energetic walls created by the diffusion of responsibility. Down at the shadow frequencies, you have no idea what is possible. You see only with your mind, which is incapable of encompassing full reality. Your enthusiasm has the power to overcome the mass propaganda telling you that your dreams are impossible, and your courage is the sword protecting you from individual pressure that threatens to choke you. With this newfound courage, you can finally stand as a fully embodied human presence. There is a deep entrepreneurial spirit here in this genetic codon. It is, after all, called the Ring of Prosperity. It is the fusion of human talent coupled with the power of group synergy, the 45th gene key, that opens the field for true prosperity. The more you expand into your talent, the more the universal field of consciousness responds, coming to meet you halfway. Only by striking out alone will you find the right people to support, orient, and bring your vision to fruition. The 16th shadow has much to do with the unique gifts concealed within every human being, but at the shadow frequency, this can be very confusing. The 16th shadow puts all its emphasis on skills, techniques, and systems, rather than on the human spirit that enlivens them. These people can become addicted to information and techniques, but rarely transcend these techniques. The 16th shadow creates experts, whereas the 16th siddhi creates masters. The distance between the two is almost unfathomable. To be an expert is to remain indifferent and unenthused, because once enthusiasm has been unleashed, skill gives way to something far more magical. It opens up the amazing gift of versatility. As you become more versatile, you for the first time become truly different. You become special, and the moment that happens, you have finally killed indifference. Repressive nature, gullible. When indifference is repressed, it manifests as gullibility. These people become victims of the mass propaganda of the collective. An example here is people who use the excuse, that if governments cannot help the world situation, how can they? This gullibility essentially allows people to hide their indifference behind the indifference of others. At the deepest level, this gullibility fosters individual weakness and a feeling of powerlessness. Every time you turn on the news on television, for example, you meet this huge negative conditioning field. How you respond to this field determines your frequency. The response of the repressive nature is to bury your head in the sand in the belief that nothing can be done. Reactive nature, self-deluded. The nature of indifference actually makes it impossible for a person to react, so the reactive nature in this instance appears to be something of a misnomer. These people hide their fear in their obsession with structure, systems, and techniques. They become so deeply identified with the structures their minds are following that they forget about the reason for the structure in the first place. This gives rise to a deep self-delusion in which these people build powerful mental walls around themselves, keeping the world and others locked out. In a certain sense, these people are also gullible, like the repressive nature, but their gullibility concerns their own propaganda rather than anyone else's. They are convinced by their own minds. However, behind their mental walls seethes a huge anger that is far from indifferent and which will eventually destroy them unless they can see through their own self-delusion. The 16th gift, versatility, a talent for sustainability. In discussing the 16th shadow, you need to realize something of great importance. Indifference is an expression of the collective frequency of humanity operating through your genetics. Because of this, there can be no fault or blame placed on this trait. Indifference simply arises because the mass consciousness does not yet see its own true nature. That is, it doesn't yet realize itself as a holistic entity. However, our new awareness will enable us to identify as a single consciousness. This identification means, for example, that when someone turns on the television to watch the news and sees something unpleasant, they will no longer not identify with the people involved. There will be a deep-seated realization that these people are an aspect of their own consciousness. This new identification with humanity as your own greater body will lead you naturally into service. It will no longer be possible to be taken in by fear propaganda, as the victim consciousness on our planet will be splitting apart. It is at this stage that the powers inherent within the 16th gift will become apparent. The strength of the 16th gift is its remarkable versatility. The 16th gift encompasses learning and acquiring techniques and skills, but true versatility occurs when you transcend technique. Whilst at the shadow frequency, your skills actually trap you, here at the gift frequency, they become a ladder into the true self. At the shadow level, the focus is on the skill or the technique itself, whereas here at the gift level, skill serves only one purpose: to act as a bridge to a higher state of consciousness. Identification is an absolute requirement for the learning of any skill. You have to become utterly absorbed in the technique you are studying. All cycles of learning operate on a 7-year cellular pattern. This means that it takes 7 years for a human being to really learn something, because that is how long it takes for the cells of the body to be physically imprinted by the skill or technique. So if someone has fully imbibed a skill, after 7 years, they will automatically transcend that skill. Naturally, there are higher and higher levels to all skills, ultimately leading to mastery. However, it is at this key stage of transcendence that the gift of versatility engages. Versatility is not a skill, it is a state of frequency that can use a skill without being fully identified with it. This is the level at which skill becomes talent. Talent happens when a certain skill has been mastered. With talent, you no longer have to think about the skill, and a whole new world opens up to you. In essence, the 16th gift is not really about skill at all. It simply uses skill as its medium to reach this higher state. The gift of being versatile is the ability to pick up any skill that is needed and use it for a single aim, for the betterment of humanity and the service of the whole. Versatility is driven by the dynamic energy of enthusiasm, the feeling that you are doing something thoroughly enjoyable which also happens to improve people's lives and serve the whole. At the gift level of frequency, something truly remarkable happens. One gift becomes interchangeable with another. No matter what your personal genetic makeup, if you can operate at this level of frequency, you can draw upon any of the 64 gifts through the morphogenetic field that links all states of the same frequency together. This is the true meaning of the 16th gift. It is the ability to tune into any gift you need and make use of that gift. That is true versatility. The gift level of frequency is an energy field that you enter into, rather than being defined by a particular set of skills. In the original Chinese I Ching, this 16th hexagram was related to the arts, to music, art, and dance. Indeed, at the level of versatility, you will find that any branch of the arts or sciences is readily interchangeable with any other branch. The gift level is the level that we refer to as genius, and the nature of genius is versatility. One has the ability to understand an energy signature that pervades all creation. Leonardo da Vinci is a good example of a man who displayed this versatile ability to move between the arts and sciences with great ease. A true genius rarely restricts him or herself to a single branch, because that would limit their gift. The great joy of versatility is to spread your wings as widely as possible. Versatility also happens to be a highly energy-efficient field of consciousness. If we look at the way in which humanity currently uses energy, we can see clear evidence of the power of the 16th shadow in operation. Our current way of finding energy is to draw it from a single source and distribute that source to everyone. This is expressed through our obsession with fossil fuels, oil, coal, and gas. You can see our huge indifference at play in the way we totally ignore the consequences of our actions. Thus, huge tracts of the earth are raped in the name of progress. Modern business is utterly indifferent to the plight of the minority, not to mention the landscape, animals, and creatures of the natural world. Indifference moves like a virus, draining one resource and then moving on. This is an unsustainable path. As the gift of versatility begins to take hold in the human genome during the coming century, we will learn to tackle our energy expenditure in a very different and far more prosperous way. If we take the environment as a metaphor for how versatility works, we can see how it takes into account all aspects of any living system. It is interested in pure efficiency that does no harm to anyone or anything. The 16th gift is therefore very connected to the notion of self-sustained living. Instead of draining one of the elements and then moving on to another, versatility uses them all at the same time, finding a fluid and natural energy exchange between them. In the case of energy use, this means that every household, hamlet, or village will eventually have to become self-sustaining. This might require a combination of solar, water, wind, and even geothermal power to produce enough energy to maintain a home or small community. These days, there are so many emerging alternative sources of power that in time, the whole notion of government-run energy organizations will become unnecessary. The aforementioned cites a single example of the true potential locked up in this 16th gift, and it can be applied to any field, from banking to beekeeping. Above all, versatility abhors waste. This is a gift that can use or recycle anything and everything, which is why it can use any set of skills or techniques without being caught up or limited by them. We have seen that the 16th gene key forms part of the ring of prosperity, and along with the 45th gene key, which is about group synergy, this chemical combination is the master program in your body for activating true prosperity. True prosperity is brought about by people following their genius whilst working together collectively. This 16th gene key is hugely important for the further evolution and sustainability of humanity because it involves the correct education of our children. Through this gene key, we can spot a child's inherent talents early in life, and we can place them in an environment that best supports nurturing those talents. In this ring of prosperity lies the mystical secrets of the guilds, the genetic groupings of genius that, when brought together, can liberate prosperity exponentially throughout our civilization. The 16th Siddhi, Mastery. The Miracle Siddhis. If we briefly review this 16th gene key, we recall that it is rooted in indifference caused by lack of enthusiasm and the inability to identify with what you are doing. No matter how skilled you are, if you don't have this enthusiasm, you cannot attain the next level, which is talent. Furthermore, talent is something that must be earned over a period of time, no less than 7 years, and its natural expression is versatility. You could say that skill is a vertical approach to learning, in that you have to focus great attention in one direction, and your whole impetus is to understand and learn as much in that field as you can. Versatility marks a shift in frequency in your whole being, because it opens up the horizontal field at the same time as the vertical. You are no longer fixed to a single discipline, but begin to view life at a holistic level, seeing how all systems and techniques interconnect in a truly integral way. You can thus apply your talent across the whole spectrum of human sciences and arts without the dogmatic limitation of being tied to one single direction. At this level, you are tapping the natural laws behind all life processes, so your talents can be transferred easily between disciplines, even those that appear far apart and unrelated. For example, you might be an artist, but your talent also embraces business. At the gift level, your talent is based upon the knack of not identifying with any single set of skills. At the Siddhic level, a paradox opens up before us. We have gone from lack of identification at the shadow level to identification with a skill as you approach the gift level, and then a loosening of that identification in order that you become truly versatile. At the Siddhic level, the issue of identifying with what you are doing is no longer relevant. At this heightened level of consciousness, your identity is erased and you become an empty vessel for life. Here, all learning ends and there are no more levels. With talent and even versatility, there are still levels. Even the greatest pianist can still improve and expand. However, with the 16th Siddhi of Mastery, the whole game of expanding or evolving, either horizontally or vertically, is over. The 16th Siddhi is a relatively rare expression in the world because it encompasses what some would call magical abilities. The blueprints behind every aspect of human genius come through the 16th city, from the arts right through to the sciences. Just as the DNA in every cell of your body contains the blueprints for all life, so the 16th city activates the blueprints of mastery of all human fields of endeavor. The implications of this are really quite staggering. Consider an example from the field of music. Rachmaninoff's Third Piano Concerto is considered one of the most difficult and awesome pieces of Western classical music in existence. To learn to play this piece of music takes years of sustained practice and discipline, even if you have genuine talent. However, the kinesthetic knowledge of how to play this piece is actually already contained in every single human being alive. The 16th city allows direct access to this and all other kinesthetic knowledge, which means that if the 16th city is activated, you could play this piece of music as well as any piano maestro who ever lived without ever having touched a piano in your life. The 16th city has an interesting connection to the 35th city of boundlessness, and on closer analysis, one can see why. As one of the miracle cities, the 35th city's sole purpose is to expand the average human's perspective on life exponentially. It testifies that nothing is impossible if you can only move your mind out of the way. In traditional Eastern approaches to higher consciousness, the siddhis are understood in a different context from this work on the 64 gene keys. There, the siddhis are traditionally seen as special powers that arise as obstacles on the path to true realization. This kind of language actually derives from the cluster of siddhis in the human genome designed to manifest miracles and special powers. Obvious examples are the 14th, 16th, 35th, and 60th siddhis. When you attain a siddhic state, you attain a kind of cosmic versatility, and your destiny continues to unfold according to your genetic predispositions. Much confusion exists in spiritual circles concerning the so-called lure of the siddhis. Those who have spoken out against them may also have been speaking through their own limitations. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the special powers of the siddhis. In fact, they are an essential part of our evolution. The enthusiasm inherent in the 16th gene key also has its manifestation in the siddhi, where it shows its true nature. The word enthusiasm derives from the Latin and Greek meaning to be possessed by the breath of God. As the divine currents flood human beings, shattering their identification with the world of form, so God has her play through us, and one of the forms of this play is to display mastery over creation. It is impossible to be indifferent to a miracle, and this is the highest expression of the 16th siddhi. After all, if God is not allowed to have fun, then who is? The special powers of the 16th siddhi have only one purpose: to be of service to the whole, even if that manifests as a form of cosmic entertainment. True mastery is to have absolutely no individual power whatsoever. It is to merge with the divine will and therefore become a master of nothingness. This is the ultimate theater and the highest of all arts, and at the same time, it has the incredible power of pulling humanity out of its indifference.